So you may have recently received an HPV vaccine, and you were likely told to expect some soreness for 1 to 2 days following the vaccination. This time, however, your pain has persisted. Maybe it's been a week or 2 or even a month, and you still have shoulder pain. You may have a condition known as SIRVA, or shoulder injury related to vaccine administration. In this video, we're going to talk about SIRVA and how, if you've experienced an injury like that, you may be eligible for compensation in the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program. So we're going to be talking about SIRVA and some of its symptoms. If you are experiencing any of the symptoms that I'm going to be talking about here, it's important that you seek medical attention as soon as possible. Only your doctor can prescribe the right course of treatment for you. What is SIRVA? SIRVA stands for shoulder injury related to vaccine administration. And you're probably wondering, how can a vaccine possibly cause a shoulder injury? Well, according to medical literature, it's thought that the vaccine is administered either into the shoulder joint or the bursa, causing inflammation. It can cause things like bursitis or tendonitis. It can lead to something like adhesive capsulitis or frozen shoulder, but it causes an injury to your shoulder joint. First sign of SIRVA is pain. If you experience pain in your shoulder following a vaccination, that's going to be one sign that you may have SIRVA. It's maybe hard to differentiate at first regular vaccine injection site soreness versus shoulder pain, but the difference, the main difference will be that your pain persists past, those 1 to 2 days following the vaccination. The other symptom that we see with SIRVA is reduced range of motion. So the injury to your shoulder joint should lead to some meaningful reduction in your range of motion. So if it's been a few weeks or a month and you're experiencing these symptoms and they aren't getting any better, it's important that you go see your doctor. When you get to your doctor, it's also important that you provide him or her with an accurate medical history. So tell them that your shoulder pain started with the vaccination. What I've found handling a lot of these SIRVA claims is that quite often your doctor may not even be aware of SIRVA. You may not be diagnosed with SIRVA because SIRVA isn't technically a medical diagnosis. Instead, you may be diagnosed with one of the conditions I mentioned earlier, bursitis or tendonitis or frozen shoulder. So what are the treatment options? Again, that's going to be up to your doctor. You can consult with your doctor about what's best for you. Try your best to follow his or her recommendations. Handling these cases, I see our clients undergo various methods of conservative treatment, including anti-inflammatory medications or pain medications, physical therapy, cortisone shot injections. And if those methods are unsuccessful, some of our clients have to go through a surgery for relief. If you're wondering whether you're eligible for compensation after a SIRVA injury, here's a few things that I look for in cases when I'm reviewing a potential client or even after we've signed up the case. So first, we need to see some evidence that you had pain within 48 hours of the vaccination. It's going to be one of the biggest things that we look for. We establish that with medical records. So that's why it's really important that when you see your doctor, you're telling him or her when and how your symptoms started. We also want to see that you didn't have any shoulder pain or injuries prior to the vaccine. This isn't a hard and fast rule. If you had some prior shoulder injury years before the vaccination that completely healed or resolved, there's still a way to bring a claim in that case. We want to see evidence that you have, some sort of reduced range of motion, and we want to see that there's no other condition or abnormality that could explain your shoulder symptoms. So no other injury to your neck or to your arm that might explain the symptoms that you're experiencing. A couple other eligibility requirements include the fact that your symptoms have to persist for 6 months. We call this the severity requirement. Again, we establish that through medical records. You have to have received your vaccine in the United States, and there's a few rare exceptions to that. And finally, if we do take you on as a client and we want to file a petition for you, you can only do so if we can file your petition within 3 years of the date of your injury. And that is the statute of limitations. So you've contacted us, you've explained that you think you have a SIRVA injury. What can you expect during your case? Well, first you're going to go through our consultation process. You're going to talk to our intake team. They're going to take down all of your information, all the details regarding your vaccine, your injury, and then you'll be set up to talk with one of our attorneys. We'll go into more detail about some of those finer points of your case. If you make it through the consultation process and we've offered our representation, the next step will be to go through our intake process where we gather all of the information we need from you to initiate your case. We're going to get all of your medical provider information so that we can collect all of your medical records. We're going to get a bunch of other information from you, background on your health history, the impact of this injury, and other things that we need to prepare the petition and organize all of the exhibits. Once we're satisfied that we have all of the records in the case, we will prepare your petition. We'll organize all the exhibits. We'll file all of that with the U.S. Court of Federal Claims, which will begin the litigation process of your claim. After we file the case, the program is divided into 2 phases. The first phase is the entitlement phase. During that phase, the only question we're looking to answer is whether you're entitled to compensation or not. During this phase, the government is going to review your petition. They're going to review all of the evidence that we filed. The court's going to ask them to make a determination, whether you're entitled to compensation or not. There's basically 3 conclusions they can reach after reviewing your petition. They could concede that you suffered a SIRVA injury and be willing to make a full value offer of compensation. They could dispute your claim, but still be interested in some sort of settlement where we discuss a compromised amount of compensation. Or they may indicate they want to defend the claim entirely and not be open to compensation. So depending on which conclusion they reach will determine the next steps of your case. But if the government does concede or they're willing to discuss settlement, we would move into what we call the damages phase of the program. And that's where we put together our demand package or our offer of compromise. We send over to the government what we feel is the full value of your case, and that can include a value of your pain and suffering, a value on any out-of-pocket medical expenses that you incurred, and a value on any lost earnings or wages that were directly related to the injury. So we present this to the government, and then the government will respond with an offer of compensation. If we can agree on an amount, that would resolve your case. If we can't agree, then we need to get the court involved. And we need to file a motion or we need to participate in a hearing where the special master assigned to your case may determine whether you're entitled to compensation, and he or she may determine how much compensation you're entitled to. Now, as you can imagine, this is a lengthy process. Not only is there some lead up time in gathering all the information we need in your petition, but even after we file your petition, it takes a very long time for the government to review. It takes even longer sometimes for the court to reach a decision if we have to litigate the case. So when you first call us, you can expect that this is going to be a 2 to 3 year process. If you'd like to learn more about SIRVA and the Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, our office wrote a book about it. And if you want a free copy, all you have to do is text SIRVA to 312-847-2428, and we will ship you a free copy. If you think that you have suffered a SIRVA injury, I would invite you to call us at 312-578-9501 for a free consultation.